we want to tell you that we will continue learning and growing under your guidance, because we are here today because you have led by example. Otherwise, thank you, and to Excellency Kalonzo Musyoka, go ye and conquer the nation. My Super Senator Edwin Sifuna, continue injecting with the syringe and the needle of a camel. To the President of the Republic of Kenya, you must respect the Constitution. Thank you and God bless you. To be in the company of legal minds. Legal minds who have shaped jurisprudence, legal minds who have upheld justice, and legal minds who have carried the torch of integrity in the profession. Ladies and gentlemen, as new advocates, we have arrived. We arrive with enthusiasm. We arrive with fresh ideas. And we arrive with yokes of responsibility resting on our shoulders. And we understand that this noble profession is not, the noble profession is more than just a career, but it is a calling. It is a calling to serve justice. It is a calling to defend the Constitution. And it is a calling to be the voice of the voiceless. As new advocates, we will carry ourselves with humility, curiosity, and courage. And to our mentors and seniors, we want to thank you very much for paving the way.
I want to tell you that one of the things that President Ruto has done is to call for a joint PG, parliamentary group meeting, between ODM and UDA. It is within their right to do so. But let them be distant. If indeed I see the Secretary General of ODM here, Senator Sifuna, if indeed you attend that meeting at State House on Monday, for the love of this country and good order and governance and the supremacy of our institutions. We just had Professor Makau give a very good lecture on the separation of powers. And I've actually said Parliament itself is under state capture. Indeed, the fruition of this will happen on Monday, and I want to suggest to Senator Sifuna that if that happens, joint PG of UDA and ODM, the following day, in Parliament, Honorable Junet Mohammed, who is supposed to represent me in Parliament as the majority leader, should immediately vacate and move now, so there will be good order, so that they now move and join together, so we will know that the opposition, the joint opposition, now will have the responsibility to have a new team. We are very able young legislators, like Babu Owino, who was just in here. Because of these regimes, as Chief Justice Comment said correctly yesterday, you cannot criminalize human rights. Defenders, we all know, under Article 20 of the Constitution, since 1920 of the Constitution, we imported, and this is part of our domestic law, those treaties that Kenya has been signatory to, and all those human rights treaties. Therefore, you cannot run away and pretend you're an island, when indeed, under Constitution 20 yourself, and you have sworn to uphold the Constitution as by law established. Therefore, national treaties on human rights are part of our domestic law. We are then bound by the same. Because of this regime's inability to defend and protect rights and constitutional values, and guided by our Constitution, particularly Article 1, we established the People's Restorative Justice Commission on June 25th. Professor Makau, please hear me, my brother. We did that. people-led initiative chaired by Speaker Emeritus Jamie Muturi and Commissioners Dan Maanzo, Fred Ogola, Asha Bashir, and Nerima Wako has been working around the clock to restore dignity, rebuild lives, families, communities, and society, and hold perpetrators accountable for crimes against humanity. The opposition's initiative that is already getting international recognition is starkly different from the recently announced task force by President Ruto and Raila Odinga. The question we and majority of Kenyans are asking is, how can the perpetrators who gave the shoot to kill and shoot in the leg decree be the judges in their own already admitted crimes? By compensating, and yeah, Professor Makao, compensate, yes, we are with you on that because it's important. But you cannot compensate a life of a Kenyan. One Kenyan life lost is one too many, and we cannot accept. Going forward, all Kenyans arrested and detained during the Maandamano protests and Sabasaba Day demonstrations must be released immediately. When ODPP have been here, I've just shared that with you. The Director of Public Prosecution, so happy you're here to hear me say this. As your colleague in the profession, we are saying that all these demonstrators, we call them actually prisoners of conscience. They have to be released immediately and unconditionally. A lot of them are out on bail terms. Thank you again, Madam President. You worked very hard. And all those advocates who gave their pro bono services to at least have these young men and women go back to their parents, we really congratulate you. This includes all those who are dragged through the anti-terrorism court and treated like terrorists. But we know the purpose, Parliament's intention in enacting, I think in 2012 or 2015, Porter Prevention of Terrorism Act. They didn't imagine. They were looking at transnational criminals like Al-Qaeda and Al-Shabaab. And you get these young Kenyans and you take them there and you really put the fear of God in there. I can tell you end up hardening them. And I can tell you they're very committed to me. Friends, today more than ever, I'm reminded of Brutus' words to Cassius in William Shakespeare's play, Julius Caesar, Act 4. And I paraphrase, I think I will just quote it because it's so opportune, even as you look at the Indian Ocean from this place. It's a beautiful place. I don't know how many of us know that our sea, our coastline, is one of the best anywhere in the world. And I can tell you the southern sea, for example, the Diani area, amazing beauty. But therefore, remind you, under Julius Caesar, Act 4, that there's a tide in the affairs of men, which taken with the flood, leads them to fortune, omitted, all the voyage of their life is bound in shallows and in miseries. I would actually want to add, to conclude that, and on such a full sea, that's what we are, Kenya, on such a full sea, are we now afloat. And we must take the current when it serves, or lose our ventures. It's an issue. End of quote. Time, ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues, learned friends, is extremely of the essence. It is important. And we have to come to the rescue of this nation from a regime actively determined to suspend our hard-fought constitution. The law is not just an instrument of order. It is a covenant of justice. If we are not vigilant, our constitution shall be eroded and Kenya's present and future will be undermined. Kenya cannot succeed without a vigilant and courageous legal profession. And you, the defenders of the law cannot succeed without a principled political class willing to defend our independence. If we lose the law, we lose the nation. This is a challenge of the most consequential discussion of our time. Therefore, President.
And so, do you know that the president of African Development Bank, Adesina, is the one that made this possible? Say, I do not know Adesina. All I know is that we once were in darkness, and now we have light. And that's what development really is about the people when they can say that. So people recognize this guy important behind that. So appeal to you, we're telling you that human rights defenders and defending human rights is an act of patriotism. We have 60,000 million passengers per year. By 22nd phase, it will go to 110 million passengers per year. Larger than many airports. In fact, it will be one of the largest airports and city in Africa, that we're talking about. So when you go to that kind of a project, sitting on 4,000 hectares, you have to displace people, right? But commercial Ethiopian Airlines and the government did an incredible thing. They actually took care of all the 2,800 households well ahead of time. And guess what they did? They gave every household a villa. And then they gave them irrigation systems, mechanized systems, agro-processing zones, and Ethiopia Airlines put in $350 million to support their livelihoods. That's how we should be doing things. So of course, I said to them that these are no longer project-affected people. These are project-supported people. So some people will be asking them, how come the cadastral survey left out, I want a villa too, so put me in this project. And that's the kind of thing that we want to see. In Uganda, through our support, informal urban settlers affected by development projects, they received resettlement support, legal protection, and means to rebuild their lives. In Cote d'Ivoire, displaced farmers were compensated not just for their land, but for future income losses and supported with access to other forms of livelihood. These, dear friends,